It's the next part of No One Talk About the Wreck Ship. If you has not seen the first part, so see it first. On September 26, 2002, Legila sailed between southern Senegal and Dakar and at 11 p.m. headed toward Gambia, where a strong storm began. The wind raised high waves, but this wasn't critical for the large passenger ship unless the number of people on board didn't exceed the established norm. Magilla was supposed to carry about 500 passengers but had many more people that day. 2 passengers. Poor repairs and a strong storm caused severe problems for the ship, but the main factor in the shipwreck was that Legila was only built for sailing in coastal waters, but that day it sailed far from the shore. Big waves started rocking the boat, and at some point it just turned upside down. The ship's deck went underwater and its lower part stuck above the surface like an iceberg. All the passengers sitting in cabins fell on the ceiling and lost their orientation in space. There were no holes or damage in the ship's hull, and water flooded the lower decks. For a long time the vessel stood in a twisted position for several hours. Then the boat began to sink when the water seeped through the deck and hold. Dona Paz disaster. The ocean was warm, but no one came to save the passengers. People had to wait almost 4 days to be rescued. Unfortunately, only a few managed to survive. The Philippines is a very dangerous area for ships. This place consists of several thousand islands and a vast area with shallow water. Ships can run aground and damage the hull, with reefs and pitfalls. On September 20, 1987, one of the most terrible disasters in navigation history occurred there. A Philippine passenger ferry called Dona Paz left one of the islands and sailed toward Manila. The sun was shining, the ocean was calm, and the visibility was good, but for some reason the crew members didn't notice how the tanker Vector was approaching them. The 2 ships collided at low speed. The collision wasn't strong, but the problem was that the Vector had tons of oil on board, and the Dona Paz crashed into the cargo hold where that oil was stored, so it spilled all over the ocean, and then a spark slipped through. Not only did the 2 ships catch fire but also filled with water. Both ships sank in a matter of seconds. Only a few dozen people survived that disaster. Arctic disaster. On September 27, 1854, the passenger ship Arctic sailed from Liverpool to New York. The fog came rolling down and visibility got really bad. Another boat appeared out of the thick white haze. The French steamer Vesta. The ships were close enough to each other that a collision was inevitable. The French vessel was smaller, so it seemed to the Arctic's captain that Vesta had received a lot of damage, and while he was staring at the other ship his boat got quickly filled with water. The order to sail to the shore as fast as possible, but the ship's engines stopped working because of the flood. Then the ship's crew started to lower lifeboats with women and kids. Still, when rescuers found lifeboats with people, it turned out that only 87 out of 400 people survived. See 5 crew members and 22 passengers. Surprisingly, they were only grown men among them. The ship's captain survived by clinging to the wreckage. All newspapers wrote about this story as one of the most terrible and shameful tragedies in navigation history. Survivors were criticized because they didn't save women and kids, and the crew members were accused of violating the law, since the safety of passengers should be higher than the safety of sailors. But despite this, none of them were brought to responsibility. Unfortunately, shipwrecks still occur to this day, but fortunately there are fewer of them than before thanks to modern navigation systems and radar. But no technology can guarantee there won't be a super strong storm or any other emergency that no one can foresee. That's it for today, so hey, that only for now. Subscribe and reach likes to 60,000. Before going, subscribe the channel. If you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends, or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the interesting fact.